everybody. We're here with the Maryland Terps in our rendition of Eagles versus the Chiefs. And right tonight I have with me the Swede, Pete Koch. Hello. I got Hugh Brown. How are you, sir?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. I have Hugh Brown.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
Good. I don't know, explain who everybody is in 1 second. And I have Carl Bond. And on the phone, I have Doug Burnett. Doug, say hi to everyone. Okay, thank you. Technical difficulties, that's what happens right here. All right, I'm going to start a little bit with Hugh. Hugh, tell us a little bit about yourself and your qualifications. I know you're the head football coach. You're in Virginia with St. Michael's, and you're with the Warriors.
Yes.
Why are you qualified to speak about the Super Bowl and what's going on with
qualified to speak about the Super Bowl? That's a great question. I tell you what we do here.
Yeah.
Part of what we did, when we have 5 children, and when our oldest, who's now 29, was 4, we asked the question of her principal at her little parochial school, what do we do when it's time for a Catholic high school? And that started a journey where, lo and behold, 10 years later, a group of us ended up founding a Catholic high school here in Fredericksburg. That was never part of the plan, but God had a different plan. So 12 years in, we got recognized by the diocese. My son was an 8th grader. One of my sons, who was a pretty good football player, school started a football program. It didn't work out. It was a disaster. My wife gave me permission to take it over his sophomore year. And we've been, she thought football was over. She calls herself a football widow because she's known me since she was 14. But at the age of 48, I became a head football coach, and we're having a blast. We've 3 seasons in Vista, been in the state championship game 3 times. Won the first one against a team that was 60-0 on the last play of a game. Awesome. Then the virus happened, and we thought we were something else the next year, and we got beat. Very humbling. And then we won again this year, and just announced 2 weeks ago we're opting out of Division III, which is the smallest division in private school football in Virginia, up to the largest, Division I, where the enrollment can be unlimited. I mean, we've only got 60 males in the school, so we're in the smallest, but we're having a blast. Where God is
small and mighty. I see you guys
God
all over.
is using it, and it's man, it's just fantastic to see these kids get opportunities, and I'm having the time of my life. Who knew? So
awesome.
We're having a blast.
All right, cool. So I'm going to go over to Pete. Now, you guys might remember Pete. He was in a movie, Heartbreak Ridge, and also you might see him on TV playing real estate agent.
Do that too.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't really know how to sell anything, but
yeah, that's fine. That's why you have me, Pete.
Like
I'll work with you. I'll work right behind you. That's fine. But no, Pete actually played for the Kansas City Chiefs, played for the Raiders. Excellent, awesome athlete, but he's also a personal trainer. So if you guys ever get a chance to see some of the stuff, it's Health in a Minute, Pete, is that what it's called?
Yeah, making you better 30 seconds at a time.
There you
just
go,
try to offer some fitness tips. I'm a little bit out of commission as far as being fully physically fit right now, recovering from a couple of orthopedic surgeries, but no, I'm still working out the best I can and coaching people up, and it's really important. Okay. Passionate about it.
Awesome. And then we have Carl Bond. Carl was also a Maryland Terp, so we have four Terps, and then one Doug, we'll talk about Doug in a second, but Carl was a state police with Delaware. He was also in Maryland, won the ACC champions. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Carl.
Well, like you said, right after I left Maryland, I coached high school football for about a year while I was waiting to be accepted by Delaware State Police. Spent 31 years there, 31 and a half years with them. They make us retire when we turn 55. So it's kind of too young to actually fully retire. So now I'm lead constable for a school district here in Delaware. So
nice,
pretty good job. And when I retired from state police, I was also afforded the opportunity to work security at all the home games for the Eagles. So I get to watch them quite a bit.
That's why I have Pete, on one side and Carl's on the other. But I don't know. Carl had the bench record. I remember that.
Oh, Pete was my inspiration. Now let's not get twisted, man. I mean, Pete was there, and I'll tell you what, Pete, you inspired me, and you set the example, man. That whole senior class with you, and you guys were just like the role models for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Well, I had role models before, in front of me, and that's the way it worked. That's how a great program like the University of Maryland was at the time. I was you were part of a ACC championship team. The year before that, when I was a senior, I was a captain of an ACC championship team,
Yep.
and I had guys like Herb Fans and Eric Sievers and Mike and John Tice, longtime NFL careers. Both those guys in front of me. Boomer Esiason was inspiring everybody with his consistent play, his excellence, and his work ethic. So we had, and then right on Boomer's heels, right, we had Frank Reich, and then Stan Gelbaugh and Neil O'Donnell. I forget the order, but it was quite a run. So
That was the order.
Yeah,
don't forget
it was good
Solak right
times.
after him.
Yeah,
Too.
proud to be a part of that. Not to mention a whole bunch of good offensive linemen, and then here we are, just trying to keep it together. All these years
That's
later.
right. Keep it together. Well, we got 30 seconds about, so until we move on. But Doug, can you talk, or can you speak yet, Doug? Or are we good? Okay, we're through the phone. Okay, so here we go. So Doug, so just so you guys know, when we were both local South Jersey guys, and I was the Cherry Hill East guy, and Doug is Highland High School. He never gives me any credit. He always talks smack on my school, but that's okay, Doug. It's sorry. I still love you. But Doug was all state running back. Heard a lot of great things about him coming out of high school. But at the University of Maryland, he played super back there, and and a lot of he has a lot of experience. Doug, tell us a little more about yourself. And I'm going to hold up this camera to the speaker a little bit. Okay, guys, we're back after our commercial. So, we're just going to go round robin, ask you guys a little bit about the Super Bowl, what's happening with that right now. Pete, since you were chief, I know where your heart lies, but I also, want to hear your expertise and breakdown. Why do you think the Chiefs have like the best chance to win, or what do you think about their strengths are? And then just, if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Man, the worst kept secret in the NFL is the Chiefs, or an organization that is hitting on all cylinders. They're formidable every year. Last 5 years have been, I think the word would be safe to say, dominant. And the only thing left to do is to win another Super Bowl game. They're doing it with Andy Reid at the helm, who has a long track record of winning. And then organizationally, they made a fantastic draft pick when they really cleverly maneuvered around to get Patrick Mahomes, who, if you remember, really sat and learned his rookie season, and which probably just adds to the legacy and the genius tactics of Andy Reid, who, decided to play it that way so that when Patrick Mahomes came out of the gate, he was so strong, so effective, and they were building a nucleus of fantastic offensive players that really made a commitment to speed and skill position guys, and they've clearly made a decision that speed kills. That's going to be the way we're going to win these games, and that's been pretty consistent. I mean, they lost their Tyreek Hill, their number one receiver last year, but it's like they didn't miss a beat because they got an embarrassment of riches in return for Tyreek Hill. In a sense, they both won. I think Tyreek Hill, I hope he's happy in Miami, and he had a great season.
Yeah.
But who knows if he'll ever see a playoff game with that organization. On the other hand, the Chiefs took those draft picks and have turned it into gold. Their offense is not only as good as, probably statistically as good. Patrick Mahomes is better than he's ever been. Statistically, they're awesome, and they're younger.
Right.
So offensively, they're awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm going to go to Doug on this question. I mean, looking at the kid from, I always talk about the hometown guys, being from South Jersey, where we're from. I didn't even know he was from Vineland High School. That kid Pacheco, he really runs the ball hard. I mean, what's your thoughts on him? How do you think he compares to what the Eagles have with their three-headed monster?
Well, I think he runs really hard. I think he's actually one cut and, down the field. He's running north. I just think when you compare the Eagles versus the Chiefs, I agree with everything Pete said. I just don't think the Chiefs have a stout enough running game to stifle the Eagles. I think the Eagles just have. I mean, they have pass rushers, they have run stoppers. They just have so much depth on their defensive line and their edge rushers and linebackers. They're just from top to bottom on defense. They just have everything.
Mm.
They have depth. They have great corners. They have good safeties. If they have a weakness on defense, the Eagles, maybe it's their linebackers.
Yeah.
Maybe not like well known. Like
White.
TJ
I mean,
Edwards.
I just think the Eagles are just from head to toe, top to bottom, from offense to defensive. They just compete. I mean, complete. I think the Chiefs obviously have an advantage at tight end and having an advantage at quarterback. But everywhere else on the field, I just don't see where they stack up against the Eagles. You know, but they do have Mahomes. Mahomes,
Yeah, he's an X factor.
X factor. He
Yeah.
makes plays, and he's the best quarterback in the league right now. And I just think, for me personally, I think with the Eagles pass rush, I mean, they have Sweat, they have Hargrove, they have Graham, they have the kid from South Jersey,
Reddick.
Son Reddick.
Yeah.
They just have so many, and they got Sue and
Yeah.
Lin-
Quinn, Slew, Fletcher Cox,
Yeah.
all those guys.
Yeah.
Linville Joseph.
Yeah.
Hargrave. Milton Williams.
I don't see how. I mean, because KC's their offensive line, I mean, they're decent, but I don't think they've seen an defensive onslaught like the Eagles since they played Tampa 2 years ago in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Carl, you're talking. You know this team inside and out. You're talking about the Eagles a little bit. Where do you think? How do you think they're going to stop Mahomes? I mean, this guy is like just magic in the pocket or outside the pocket.
And being an ex-offensive lineman and listening to people talk about football, they all talk about the skill positions, but we all know games are won up front.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you look at the offensive line the Philadelphia Eagles have, and you watch those guys block, those guys are dominating and they're physical. I mean, you got Landon Dickerson. That dude is huge. You got Jordan Mailata. He's a monster of a man. Jason Kelsey's on the smaller side, and Pete, he reminds me a lot of Kevin Glover when I watch him play. I mean, Kevin was on the smaller side, but Kevin was quick, strong, and athletic, and he gets out there on those screens. And I see the same thing with Jason Kelsey. He's a little bit bigger than Kevin, but they play the same type of style. And like what Doug said, I don't see a weakness. If the only weakness I see with the Philadelphia Eagles is their special teams return game, their punt return. That's the only weakness I see with them. They're strong at every position.
As long as he holds on to it, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, but
Carl, echo your point again versus like the Eagles' offensive line. I mean, you forgot like Lane Johnson.
Yeah, Lane Johnson had 11
groin, and he pretty much shut Bosa out the whole game last week. Like Bosa had that one play, almost a safety,
right?
But that you didn't hear his name the rest of the game.
No.
I mean, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough.
Here's one thing I wanted to ask this question to you because I mean, this is about football. So looking at what happened with San Fran and the Eagles last week, and just talking about the emotion, how much? And you as a head football coach, how much do you get you guys ready to play, or if something like that? If somebody Purdy went down last week with San Fran. Say if a big player of yours goes down, how much of that emotion, what do you do to get your guys up to play and all that stuff? And how much emotion is going to play into this game?
I listen. So the worst thing that I think you may have been in the locker room. I'm not going to name a name, but one of the worst things that I ever heard in the history of me being involved in the sport was a head coach saying, if I have to motivate you, you don't belong here. Right. And you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are, still kids, right? You call them men, but very few are. And I think that emotion drives the game. So all the things that we're talking about, I'm probably the least connected in terms of I'm not a fan of either team, but here's what I see. So love watching the game though. So what I see is this: the one thing that would concern me as a head football coach would be that Eagles front, defensive front. That's a ferocious defensive front. If I had to scheme against that, it would keep me awake at night. That gives me pause. But to answer your question directly, Doug, I think you also have this is 5 years in the league. This is Pat Mahomes' 5th consecutive AFC championship game. It's his 3rd Super Bowl. Andy Reid is a seasoned coach. that experience is invaluable. And I
Oh,
think
no
to
doubt.
discount them or count them out in any way, will they be ready? These are all professionals, but it's still a game, man. We all go back to when we were 6, 7, 8, started playing this game. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, me in my 50s now, coaching high school football. I mean, game week, I can't contain myself. I'm so excited for these kids. So
Yeah.
I think what you're going to see, yeah, you've got a very talented Eagles team that clearly can win this game. But you also are now battling a very talented Chiefs team that I think will be ready. I think Coach Reed, I think Eric Bieniemy, I think you're dealing with very smart football people. Right? And Eric Bieniemy, he's going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to minimize that pass rush, get his quarterback on the edge, and make plays. And that's
So-
you've got. I give the coaching edge to the Chiefs because Coach Reed has earned it. I mean, he's
So I
earned
have
it. The guy's a Hall
I
of
have a
Famer.
To your point, Hugh, about
doing.
your point about Mahomes, though, and I'll say this because yeah, he's a good quarterback, but you put pressure on any good quarterback, you can make him look ordinary.
Oh yeah, well, that's
I
my
don't care who it is. We've seen Tom Brady look ordinary when he's been faced. You put a rush in their face, and I don't think Mahomes has seen. And I'm not going to say he's going to fold, but I don't think he's seen a pass rush like you said, a defensive front that's going to be ferocious as the Philadelphia front's going to be. They're going to come after him with everything they have, and hopefully if Kansas City's offensive line is up to the task of protecting Mahomes, it's going to be a good game. But if they don't, it's not going to happen.
So
And it's the same with the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. If those guys don't protect him.
yeah. Go
Pete,
ahead,
I have
Doug.
a question for you, buddy. Pete, so you're a Chiefs alumni, and this is maybe off topic, but it's related to the Chiefs anyway. Does Bieniemy call the plays, or does Andy Reid call the plays?
That's subject to a lot of debate, and the fact that they keep it private, I think, is part of the brilliance of it. You could, for some reason, we all seem to know and criticize like Bill Belichick, the greatest NFL coach in history, and as most people understand, as a head coach, he's kind of a defensive special teams kind of oriented individual. But he's taken on the role over the years at different times, is my understanding of Belichick. This is of calling plays on offense, defense, and running special teams. Also, that mixture. How Andy Reid, and by the way, I think the Andy Reid Eric Bieniemy relationship is historical. And there's people that want to dump on it. There's some haters on that, and they say that's really not so much, Bieniemy. He's a benefactor. He's the OC with the genius, being in the same room as the genius head coach, for the last, I don't know what it is, 7 years. Yeah, sure, he's probably a benefactor in some way, but there's no doubt in my mind. I can remember Bieniemy at was Colorado. I remember him in the NFL as a running back.
Yeah.
People look at the size of him now; they probably don't remember he was a running back, right? But he was a super talented football player, and he's earned his dues and worked his way all the way up the food chain. To there's only 32 offensive coordinators in the NFL. He's one of them. And I have no doubt that he's a big part. But one other thing that I think is interesting, and I've talked about this historically. So it's been a few years, since the Patriots have been, in a Super Bowl, but it's really not that long ago when we understand what a dynasty Belichick ran up there. But this statistic came out just about 4 years ago where somebody made an interesting observation. I've never heard anybody on Sports Talk or anything talk about, but they just added up. You can just open up any program and see a list of the assistant coaches on every NFL team. You can just Google that. And it, by the way, so this is highly regulated in high school and college, how many assistant coaches that you can have. In the NFL, it's the Wild West. It's just a matter of, what's the budget you've assigned, to your coaching staff, et cetera. This is the decisions of the general manager and the owner. But the largest for a period of evaluated over a couple of years, but the organization with the smallest coaching staff was Belichick. When he was winning all those Super Bowls, he had the fewest number of assistant coaches on that team. Conversely, Andy Reid has the most, and I think the Chiefs. I looked a year or two ago. I just happened to, Google it, and they had. I'll give you a ballpark. The Patriots have run with about 13 or 14 assistant coaches, and the Chiefs had 27. So, and somebody asked Belichick, "Why don't you have more assistant coaches?" He says, "I have enough trouble controlling the guys I have now."
That makes sense.
So different ways to do it. There's different ways you can win. They're both champions.
Here's my concern with the Eagles and Jonathan Gannon. Honestly, I mean, they have great players all around them and everything else. I don't know. But, Kelsey and the way they play soft, they were playing soft off the ball. And I think he made some adjustments. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong. But when they play that soft middle and they just let the guys, those playmakers like Kelsey and, if they get something over to like a quick slant, something like this, what do you guys think? If you're watching the Eagles, what can they do to try to defend that? I mean, what do you think? Yeah,
they got to double cover Kelsey from start to finish.
Yeah,
they got to take him out the game. They have to.
Well, do you put a spy on Mahomes? So do you have to put a spy on him?
I don't think so.
But no, I wouldn't. No,
It'll work.
Yeah, it won't work.
I think the key for Philadelphia is going to be Avonte Maddox playing that slot nickel.
Well, they said he wasn't in the boot today. I heard that.
Right. So, he's a pretty physical guy for his size, and he'll be able to stick with Kelsey. Even a lot of people don't realize when the Eagles played the Chiefs last year, Kelsey really didn't do much.
Mm-hmm.
He really didn't do much, and the Eagles weren't quite as good as they are this year. But there is some barometer there that you can look at to see how they'll do against Kelsey. So.
Yeah,
and I think Avonte Maddox, especially if he's 100%, that's going to be the key to keeping him under wraps.
Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
I also think too the Chiefs have. I think what's his name? The kid from LSU, the running back that was out for most of the year.
Clyde Allaire.
He's coming back for the game, right? He's been activated.
Yeah.
So he's a good ball player. He would concern me.
Okay.
I think Pacheco runs a lot harder, but I think that kid is more complete. He could do more in the passing game and in the running game. So I'd be cautious about him. He's a player.
So again, I go back. I look at what the Eagles have done when they've even recognized their own weakness. I mean, you look in the middle of the year when they picked up Sue and Joseph, and those guys are run stoppers. And I think their linebacker T.J. Edwards is underrated. I mean, he's a very good player. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll be okay against the run.
Yeah. Hugh, let me go to Hugh because I don't know how much you really follow. You said you're not a fan of either team, but you're talking about like if you're going to defend against the Eagles' offense, do you have enough knowledge to take a look at what they do? Okay.
Well, so Carl echoed my philosophy. So high school is obviously a world of difference. We play some of the better programs on the East Coast. And in the age of 7-on-7, and you've got big wide receivers and this tight end and this guy. None of that matters if your quarterback's on his back. Right. None of that matters if he's running for his life. In high school, it's pretty simple. We're gonna push you to your left, and come right up the middle at you, and sometimes not cover people in the spirit of Buddy Ryan. But again, it's high school. So in the NFL, I think keeping him under pressure is important. That's what I would do. I would take my chances. I think Jalen Hurts is one of those unique guys who's one of the more humble human beings on the planet, who showed at the age of 19 and 20 he could handle adversity and change better than most grown men can. And I think that guy is driven, and as good as Mahomes is, I think that guy, he's got something to prove, and he will not rest until he has a Super Bowl championship. And he would frighten me to death. But I think if you want to stop that offense, you've got to put the quarterback under pressure. It's the NFL. I mean, quarterbacks can hit a nickel-sized window. So I would take my chances. I'd man up, cover zero. I'd take my chances. I'd come after him. I'd mix it up a little bit, but I would come after him. I'd put him under duress.
I mean, honestly, I think what the Eagles need to do is they need to establish a run. I know I say this on my Facebook post every week. I know you guys probably see, well, not that you're looking at my Facebook post every week, but I do say run the football, because when they get away from the run, then, to keep passing the ball. Hurts is getting some pressure. He's just not as good. So, what do you think? I don't really know too much about the Chiefs' defensive line. How are they at stopping the run, Pete? If you want to handle this, what do you think?
Yeah, no, they've assembled a tremendous group of guys, and I think it's quite interesting. I mean, they have, arguably, one of the three best defensive linemen in the league who doesn't get anywhere near the attention. Chris Jones,
monster.
And he plays every position.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting. So when I was with the Raiders, it was so interesting. That was the only team. I was on 3 teams, but I was also paying attention to what everybody else was doing in the league, and especially the defensive linemen around the league. But Howie Long was, to my knowledge, the only guy that played every position across the board. And, you know, so that's everything from 7 technique, 6 technique lineup on a tight end, 5 technique, 4 technique. We didn't, you know, with the exception of it was the end of the era in the late 80s. The 0 technique kind of went away. Joe Klecko was
Yeah.
about the last guy. I think
That's a nose guard for you, lame.
yeah, the guy that lines it right over the
Yeah,
center.
the
Nobody
lame
really does
folks.
that anymore.
Yeah, I could draw
And
a little.
rightly so for a long time. But
Yeah.
but Howard, not a small guy, but 6'5", 275. Chris Jones, 6'6", 310.
Yeah,
And you know, wow, so here Chris Jones is roughly almost exactly as big as maybe the greatest Eagle of them all, Reggie Williams,
Reggie
White.
White.
Reggie White. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, just blanked on that.
Yeah,
In my judgment, Randy White is the greatest. You know, technically he was a pure 6 technique, but he was the most dominant defensive lineman I ever saw, and I think Chris Jones is that size and darn nearly that disruptive. And he's got a long way to go in his career. So he's a difference maker. And then 3 years ago, the Chiefs knew they needed an edge rusher, and they traded with the Niners for Frank Clark, and he does a great job for them. So, and they also play 6 guys. They rotate 6 guys, which is an increasingly popular trend. A lot of teams do it. The Rams do it. The Niners do it. Lots of teams do it. I don't even know exactly what the Eagles do. The Eagles, on the other hand, their defensive philosophy is bring everybody. I mean, I don't know about playing cover 0. I haven't paid that much attention to their secondary. That's about as dangerous and high risk as it gets. But all right, play cover 1 and challenge that way.
Pete, I got to correct you on that.
they don't blitz.
They don't blitz at all.
Mm.
They get their pressure with their front 4.
That front 4 is just
That
playing.
front 4,
I thought I saw 5 guys coming with not against the Niners.
They very rarely blitz.
Right.
No.
So they have 4 guys that had how many?
They had 4
11
guys
or
that
12
had double-digit
piece or
sacks.
more.
They'll
Yeah,
run
4
games.
guys.
They'll do ET stunts and stuff like
Okay.
this, but there's no straight blitz. They'll play games up front though. That's what.
And
they'll
then how
do.
many different guys do they use throughout the game?
Well, look,
those
coming
4
off the
spots?
bench, you got Sue.
They use
Like
8 different guys, Pete.
Yeah.
8 different guys.
8 different guys. You've got
when I saw Sue being so effective against the Niners, I said, look at this guy. What a great acquisition, a veteran, giving him just being a space eater, making lots of plays.
I mean, the unsung heroes of the Eagles, honestly, God, is Howie Roseman, and he's done a fantastic job. I mean, he really has. He picked the pickups today. Hassan Reddick for $1 million or whatever it was this year. It was something. It was like half of what he should be earning.
Hey, it started on draft day when they made the trade to get AJ Brown.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was amazing in itself. I mean, the fact that and you know what the funny thing is, and I always talk about it, you know, whenever I get a chance to talk poorly of the Cowboys, I'm going to do it. And, and then Jerry Jones was talking, he was talking smack and saying the Eagles, like, they spent all this money and are above their cap and are just a one and done in 1 year. I was like, Jerry, you're gravely mistaken. I hate to say it, but, you know, Eagles are going to be around for a while because they're doing smart things, and they have guys in their arsenal. You know, right behind Jason Kelsey, who's probably one of the greatest centers I've ever seen. They got this guy Cam Jurgens. They got in the second round. This kid runs. He's just like Kelsey. He's another version of him. So they have weapons. They're deep. They're good. I like I said, Kansas City. They have, outstanding quarterback. You can't. I mean, Pat Mahomes. I mean, this kid takes one step and just. He reminds me like. Between Favre and McNair and all these other guys that are like mixed. I mean, because he is really that good. But, you know, it's really if they get to them and get in his head, I think that's what's really going to have to be the game. So I know we've been talking for a little while, guys. I would like to get a score if you can and a pick. To think about that, and you put that in your head right now. And I'm going to start with the one who really doesn't have any favorite in the game. So I'm going to go to Hugh. So you,
So you want a prediction?
I would like a prediction. And listen, do you guys have Wawa down by you or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then you'll get a Wawa gift card. Pete, you can pick whatever. I'll just give you gift cards. Whoever wins, I'll make sure I write it down and we'll post it on there.
Wawa came to Virginia 20 years ago, and the heavens opened up. It's been great.
I know, the coffee, pumpkin spice, right?
Oh my gosh. So let's see, a prediction. That's a great question. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs 38-35.
38-35.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm gonna be the contrarian. How's that?
That's fine. You could be the contrarian. Well, Carl, I know where you're going, so I'm going to go to Doug, which I pretty much know where he's going to, but that's okay. Go ahead, Doug. What do you got?
I'm going with the Eagles. 31-21.
31-21. All right, beating them by 10.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. Feeling the Chiefs, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go I'm gonna say 31-27.
31-27 Chiefs for Pete.
Chiefs.
All right. Carl, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles, but the Doug kind of stole my score because I was going to say 31-14.
Sure, that's a whooping, man.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be a beating.
Woo!
I'm just going, when you watch a team every week, you kind of get a feel about what they're doing. I mean, I can't say that I watch the Chiefs every week, but I just have that gut feeling it's not going to be as close as some people think it's going to be, especially if the Eagles play mistake-free football and limit the turnovers.
And I that's true. I see Carl at every Eagles game every week at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, damn, another game, Carl.
That's awesome, though. Carl, what'd you say your score was again?
I was going to say 31-17.
31-17. All right. Well, Carl, I see you, and then I'm going to add 3 points to that. So I'm going to go with my score, and I'm saying 34-17 Birds. That's right. And 17? I think, yeah, they're only getting 17.
Oh,
that's it. That's it. Because guess what? We're gonna shut them down, Doug. I am such a homer. I am the biggest homer in this room.
You are.
So that's fine. I definitely am. I don't care. I tell it all. I tell it how it is.
I like the Eagles, man, but I don't think the Chiefs aren't going to lay down, brother.
I know that.
Oh, they're not going to lay down. I know it. Yeah.
Like
but I just think
Chris Jones, they got Dunlap,
Yeah.
they got Clark, they got a good linebacker. I forget, either 32. What's his name? I can't remember, but they got some decent players, and they got a decent corner. And which is number 38. I forget his name.
Yeah.
The guy got hurt 2 weeks ago, but he came back and played last week, I guess. It's gonna be a good game. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I don't think it's gonna be 17 points.
I think it's gonna be 17 points. I'm like those guys like that did the Bears.
And you gotta remember too, man. Andy Reid, man, he wants to stick it to Laurie and all those guys.
My hope is Andy eats a cheesesteak before the game, right? And he spills something on his cart.
You guys got to remember though, Philadelphia fans will never forget Andy Reid and his time management problems he had when he was with Philadelphia.
Exactly.
So
Carl, you know what? He refused to run the ball when he was in Philly. When he was in Philly,
he never ran the ball.
He refused to run the ball.
He was throwing the ball and
throwing the ball to Fred X and
Todd,
the other guy.
Todd Pinkston.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
So he had some bums.
Well, we had T.O. 1 year. That was
1 year.
Yeah. No, but I honestly, I think it's going to be a really fun game, a good game. It's going to use my Italian word, so it's going to give me agita. But I do think that the Eagles are going to pull it out. I hope anyway. I hate to predict, but I wanted to say thank you guys. Maybe we should do this again. I think we should do this. Maybe do like a college football thing, and we'll just, then I have to start paying you though if I start doing that. But and thanks again for joining us tonight, guys, and hope you guys got something out of it just watching this. Please don't.
It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just happy that I can fellowship with Terps.
Yeah, me
Amen.
too.
I mean, people ask me all the time what I miss about college football. Well, I just miss hanging out with boys and just fucking smacking, hanging out.
Well, I'm
you know?
just glad your mic works now, Doug.
Right.
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone now. So
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, it is. It was a great time. So, go Terps and let's go Eagles.
go Warriors. We forgot about.
That's right. That's
And
right.
go
Yeah,
Warriors. That's right.
Doug's come to about 4 games, man. I really appreciate it over the
You
years.
know what? I was gonna come down. I know that sounds like such whatever, but I am gonna come down this year. You just got to give me a schedule. Just a little bit.
Might be in
further.
Baltimore, Doug. Might be at Archbishop Curley. Spoke to them today. So
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta
nobody in
keep-
Virginia will play
here,
us.
you
So we're
You
looking.
guys don't play what's that? St. Francis? You don't play them, right?
Not yet. We had Calvert Hall last year, but they won't play us this year. So
Okay. Yeah, you guys got a big win, right?
no, not against them.
Okay.
They handle us pretty good.
Okay. Well, you guys keep fighting. That's all right.
Indeed.
You're doing the right thing.
Won that first game though.
Yeah.
You guys were young. I was at that game. You guys were young.
Yeah.
But
It
you
was
guys,
the first high school game for most of the team. So
Pete, any big movies coming out or anything? What you got going on? We're just
Nah, I got an audition tomorrow, but it's just like so crazy. It's a crazy way to make a living, but you just keep hacking away at it. And,
yeah. I think you should
Yeah.
host next time. You got a way better face for television than me.
Hey, Pete, I think you ought to check out the networks, man. I think you'd be a great color analyst.
Absolutely. I think you did a great job.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I liked all the different. You put a great group of guys together here, Ed. We got a diversity of a bit of a diversity of backgrounds within the football community, and everything from a high school head coach who thinks about the game, at a different level, to all the way through to some guys like that spent a little bit of time in the NFL. And you know what? We're all fans. We're all entitled to our opinions, and that's what makes the NFL the most interesting game in the world, really.
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly. We're gonna bring the cheesesteak back. All right, guys. We'll have
All
a
right.
great
Good to see y'all.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
See
Thank
ya.
you. All
I
right,
know.
bye-bye.
Terps.
Good night, man.
Go Terps.